Climate change has reached a crisis point, and experts and the majority of Americans agree that we must take bold action to avoid a major irreversible catastrophe. So I am greatly disappointed and frustrated by the bill before us. This bill is one of the most harmful attacks on America's efforts to tackle climate change. The bill cuts funding for the Environmental Protection Agency by nearly $4 billion, or 39%, and it rescinds more than $7 billion of vital investments provided by the Inflation Reduction Act for the United States to take immediate economy-wide climate action. This bill, in addition to the cut proposed in the state foreign ops bill, nearly eliminates the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund, which was established by the Inflation Reduction Act to mitigate the costs of climate pollution through investment in low and zero emission technologies. According to a recent McKinsey analysis, the Greenhouse Gas Fund will reduce 850 metric megatons of greenhouse gas emissions over a decade. That accounts for 1/6 of the reductions needed during that timeframe to meet our climate goals. Additionally, it's expected to create 1 million jobs over the next decade. So the majority's attacks on the Greenhouse Gas Fund are a very disturbing indication of yet another willful denial of the crisis that we collectively face. The damage inflicted by this bill extends beyond climate change. The bill eliminates the Environmental Justice Program and rescinds the $1.4 billion from the environmental and climate justice grants provided through the Inflation Reduction Act. It curtails the progress that has been made to ensure that all people enjoy the same degree of protection from environmental and health hazards. It abandons those groups that currently bear a disproportionate share of the negative environmental consequences, which includes large swaths of rural communities that many of my colleagues, as well as myself, across the aisle represent. This bill also slashes funding for enforcement of the Clean Air and Clean Water Acts, which will lead to increased level of pollution and create an unfair playing field in which polluters have the advantage. The cuts in this bill are so severe that even agencies that usually enjoy bipartisan support are targeted for damaging reductions. The bill cuts the National Park Service by 13%. This cut means park rangers will lose their jobs. Further, it severely hampers the service's ability to protect and preserve the natural and cultural resources in our national parks and jeopardizes the visitor experience. The bill also significantly reduces funding for the arts and humanities agencies. The arts have an incredible value as a positive tool for economic development, education, and community building, and I will strenuously oppose these cuts in the final spending agreement. The bill fails our nation's wildland firefighters. It does not provide any of the funding requested by the administration to support wildland firefighters and their families through better compensation, safe housing, and health and well-being assistance. Without this funding, the firefighters will lose the compensation increases first provided in the bipartisan infrastructure law at the end of this year. I was relieved to see that the bill continues the advance appropriations for the Indian Health Service, and I want to thank the chair for his commitment to the BIA and to all Indian funding and sticking with his word on that. Advance appropriations for Indian health was put in place by the Democrats last year. Now, the truth of the matter is if Congress did its job, advance appropriations would be unnecessary. But unfortunately, House Republicans are showing us why such a backstop is crucial. By reneging on the budget agreement and doggedly pursuing partisan appropriations bill, they are putting us on a path to a government shutdown. Finally, the bill includes an exhaustive list of anti-environmental riders that seek to derail any effort to combat climate change and that undermine clean water and clean air protections. They give an open invitation to exploitive oil, gas, and mineral leasing by blocking environmental regulations and even overriding judicial review. At the same time, the bill suppresses clean energy production. Clean, renewable energy is critical if we are going to save our planet for future generations. And sadly, the bill also contains numerous discriminatory riders, which have proven so divisive in our earlier markups. I'm particularly shocked to see the majority's posture towards Latinos with a policy rider that prohibits the Smithsonian Institution from highlighting the contributions of American Latinos in U.S. history and culture by denying funds for the new National Museum of the American Latino and for the operation of the Molina Family Latino Gallery. The majority of Americans support becoming carbon neutral by 2050, and they support taking responsibility for future generations. The austere and irresponsible cuts in this bill do not align with their values. I want to thank Ranking Member DeLauro and the chair, Ms. Granger, for their tireless efforts, for the committee, for the staff of our committee who have worked very hard at challenging times, and the staff on the other side of the aisle who I know have put in a lot of hours on this bill. But I do oppose the bill. I urge my colleagues to oppose the bill, and I yield back.